Hello, welcome to FocusHoops podcast. We're back again. It's Kaz and Daz, and we're interviewing another top talent from the world of women's basketball. It is Vicky Gray from Nottingham Trent University, from GB International herself, and she's got some really exciting personal news. I don't know if we're breaking news here, but I'm really excited for this interview as always. So let's get right into it. So Vicky, thank you so much for joining us on the Kaz and Daz FocusHoops interview. We've not got a formal name for this yet, Kaz, and we need to fix that. But firstly, thank you for coming on. And how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm all right, thanks. How are you yourself?
I'm fantastic. Ecstatic to finally get to speak to you properly. Kaz, you all right?
I'm good. I'm a bit cold, but that's okay. It's got very wintry outside in Manchester.
So Vicky, obviously you are here we're lucky enough to get you on because you're one of the elite talents in the National League. Let's not beat around that particular bush. And obviously you are the leader and captain of Nottingham Trent University. Again, one of the premier teams, certainly this season. You guys are really tough. But you've got some really interesting personal news. So are we okay to dive in there?
Yeah, we can start there if you want. Yeah.
What is your exciting personal news?
Well, I'm soon to be leaving the UK and starting a new job in the Cayman Islands. So I will be leaving Nottingham and my beloved Nottingham Trent probably at the end of the year, as in 2020. Whether or not I get to play any games in January, I don't know yet, but I'm just assuming that my last game will be whatever one it is before Christmas.
So, firstly, congratulations on your new amazing job. And you say the Cayman Islands.
Yeah.
What was it about the famously beautiful Cayman Islands that attracted you to work over there?
It was mainly the 0% tax on income, but also the sun and the sea and just a completely different lifestyle, really.
Yeah. So, just very briefly, what is day job for Vicky Gray?
Well, I'm a surveyor. So in my previous job, I was valuing property, mainly commercial. I was doing rent reviews and lease renewals. But in this next job, it's going to be completely different. I'll be doing strata management, which is property management, but for residential. So it'll be sort of looking after vacation homes or portfolios of rich people, really.
That sounds pretty interesting work.
Yeah, it will be.
That's going to be really cool. Well, really excited for you. Best of luck in that endeavour. And hopefully you'll still be able to play some basketball over in the Cayman Islands.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll probably have to get in touch with someone in their federation. But like I said earlier, I saw on Street View they have this outdoor court that looks pretty nice. So whether or not they play most of their games outside, I don't know. But well, we've had a bit of practice of playing outdoors in the summer. So except, yeah, maybe just on hoops with nets.
So let's the way these usually work is we start right at the beginning. So let's start that. Where did basketball start with you?
Well, originally I was a footballer, and I come from Hertfordshire. So my first club was Hertfordshire Warriors, but I didn't jump straight into playing for a club. Angela Griffin actually picked me up from school. At school, they just said, "Oh, you're sporty. Why don't you go and try basketball?" So I ended up just going along to this session, and Angela Griffin taught me how to do a layup and played like Hearts Youth games, and then said, "Oh, go and trial for Hertfordshire Warriors," which I think is now called West Herts Warriors. But anyway, so yeah, I then basketball just went really quickly because I was in the like East Region squad pretty much within 6 months. So I still didn't really know all of the rules. Yeah, I was in a regional setup. But I think the very, very first time I was in the regional setup, I didn't actually make the team because I was a year young. So it was under 13s, but I started when I was 12. and then I had a season with Hertfordshire Warriors, and then got into my proper age group of under 13, where I actually met Harriet Wellham. So we've known each other since back when we pretty much both picked up a basketball.
So how's that been? Obviously, coming through age groups together and playing against each other for all that time. How do you find it when you guys play each other?
It's always so much fun. We always love a bit of banter on and off court. One of the things that sticks in my memory is when we went to Lilleshall, was our first inter-regional tournament. I remember we were roommates and we stayed up past our bedtime because we wanted to watch Match of the Day. So yeah, I remember, I think we bonded through the fact that we both used to play football before. And I just think we're quite like similar people. So we definitely hit it off then. And then ever since then, I've always, loved playing with and against Harriet. I always like to guard her occasionally, even though she's just slightly unguardable at the moment. But yeah, it's great because we both were in the GB long squad, and unfortunately she didn't make the final 12, but it was nice to have her there, sort of knowing that we went from under 13s all the way up to managing to get to the GB level. And then now I love seeing the fact that she's just absolutely killing everyone for the past sort of 3 years. And I know for her that she never really got that international opportunity, but now she's definitely making big enough noise to say, well, you should have looked at me more, sort of thing. So it's good to see.
I mean, not to make this a Harriet Wellham episode of but I mean, how old is she? She's still got plenty of game left, and I mean, who knows?
We're both 23. I think she's 15 days older than me.
So you pretty mad on football then?
Well, I used to be. I actually started playing football when I was 6, and then played for Watford Centre of Excellence when I was 8. So I was like in a performance setup since a really young age. And then, to be honest, the reason why I actually switched to basketball was because I just hated the bitchiness of the football girls that I was with. And yeah, I mean, my dad still hates the fact that I swapped. My mum loved it because it meant it was indoors.
Yeah, indoors.
It wasn't cold as much. But yeah, my dad was always like, "Oh, well, you could have played for England for football, or you could have been in the World Cup." But I was like, "Come on, basketball's my new love."
How did you find that transition initially from one sport to another? Did you have to stop playing football like totally?
No, I didn't stop totally. I think from under 12 to under sort of 15, 16, I was still playing both football and basketball. So one was on the Saturday, the other one was on the Sunday. So my fitness levels were crazy. But yeah, and then it got to a point where I had to choose because I couldn't commit fully to both. So I chose basketball.
Why did basketball get the nod over football?
Again, because everything happened so quickly and I was moving through the sort of levels at ridiculous speed. I think in my first regional tournament, I got picked for the under 15 development squad. So whilst I never actually played for England until under 18s, I was sort of pushed in the sort of national setup quite early on. So because I got that call up then, I think it was kind of, well, yeah, maybe I need to swap. So that's what happened.
What position did you play in football?
I was a centre mid, or I played sort of just behind the striker. I like to be sort of in the engine room of the team.
And has that carried over to the way you play basketball?
Yeah, I think so.
Would you say that you're in the engine of the basketball?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when I do a bit of everything, that's when I feel like I'm playing my best games. So my roles within every team that I've played in has changed drastically over the years. I think I've pretty much sort of played every role on every team I've been in. But the great thing about my Trent team now is that in previous years, I have to score 20 points a game to be able to be competitive. Whereas with this team, because we've got such great talent, I feel like I don't need to have that mindset that if I don't have a good game and score, then we can't win. Whereas now it's kind of, oh yay, I get to do more assists. I get to, save some more energy to actually play defense and things like that. So the team that I'm in now, I feel better for it because I get to play like I used to play, if that makes sense.
So now usually we ask the question of like, when did you realize that you're pretty good? But from the moment you picked up a basketball, I guess people were like, well, you've got something really special.
Yeah, I think it took obviously a few years to get any actual skill. But the only reason why I think at that age I was any good is just because of my hustle and desire to be one of the best players on the court and just like dive after every ball, be the first one to a spot, this, that, and the other. So it was more the fact that my heart was in it over a lot of other people, which is probably why I was getting the opportunities that I was getting. It wasn't necessarily that I was actually, yes, okay, you have to be kind of good, but I was never ever one of the most skilled on the team sort of at that age, at those age groups. It was always, she's always going to give you 100% when she steps on the court.
I think that's something as well that you can't teach. You either are that kind of player or you're not.
Yeah.
So if you have that, and if that's your, you have that, you're always going to be an advantage as well.
Exactly, yeah.
So after high school, where did the game of basketball take you then?
So I went from Hertfordshire Warriors, of which we had a really great run. It was that team that I had there was a really special age group because we ended up winning the national championship for the Final Fours when I think I was 16, but everyone else was sort of under 17, but we won the under 18s age group. So I just wanted to put that in there because
for sure.
So that team, you had Beth Sarson, who's now transferred back to Oaklands, but Ellie Maidman, who has sort of been in and out of England teams, and Eleanor Bishop, who's now signed for Thames Valley. So yeah, that team, we were just really lucky that I grew up in a team that had sort of 5 or 6 players that were going to commit, and we were all there because we loved it and we loved playing the game of basketball with each other. So in that team, yeah, I because it was a family atmosphere, I think that's why I absolutely loved it, and ended up getting MVP in that final.
I apologize for not bringing that up.
That's okay. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
No, 100%. If I missed anything, just dive in there. But like, yeah, I'd say I was MVP of this as well. Did come in from a high performance background really help you? And I think this is sort of a variation on what you asked earlier, Kaz, but like having that high performance training, did that help you transition into basketball quite easily and quickly, and be at a level?
Yeah, well, definitely. Growing up, my parents were very much, you need to work hard, this, that, and the other. But with basketball, it was a lot more disciplined, and you sort of needed to be committed and dedicated to be playing sort of twice a week and games at weekends. And having played within like a centre of excellence, they expected that from you when I was 8 years old. So it was sort of all I ever knew really was that I needed to be putting in the work if I wanted to get any success out of it. So yeah, I guess being in that setup for football definitely helped me when I transitioned to basketball.
What other successes did you have prior to going to university with your basketball then?
So when I went from after Hertfordshire Warriors, I actually went to Oakland's Academy, which I didn't end up going to Oakland's College to study. I went to the school next door called Beaumont. So I did my A-levels there, and then did the ACE program at Oaklands College, which allowed me to play for the academy. So yeah, what was the original question again?
Sorry, like what successes did you have
Oh
prior
yeah,
to
that was it.
uni? Yeah.
So what I was getting onto was that whilst I was there, that's when I think my skills developed, because we were training pretty much every day. I remember the grueling Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday of getting up at 5:30 in the morning, getting the bus to Oaklands, having a gym session at 7 a.m, shower, walk over to school, then during a free period, go back to college, have an individual, then go back to school, then go back to college, team training, then have to get the bus home, then homework, then go to bed and do it all again the next day. So from doing all of that, I was lucky enough to get picked for England under-18s both years. My coach was Lee Ryan, who was my academy coach anyway. So it was kind of, I guess, training in a national sort of setup every day, which obviously led me to actually make the team finally, because I hadn't been able to do it since under 15s after. I mean, there was so many reasons why I never actually got across the line to getting into the team, because I had a couple of operations on my ankles, a couple of coaches I didn't get along with, and just the fact that other people might have been a bit better than me. But so yeah, I played 2 European Championships. Both were actually in Romania, which was a great experience. And one of the best things about it was that I got to do it with my best friend Mel George, who I literally grew up with from the first time we picked up a basketball, and she made the under 15 development squad and missed all of the other age groups out until under 18. So we both got sort of our first cap together, and that was definitely one of the best things about playing for England those 2 years, is because I got to do it with her.
And when you're in a situation like that and you're in Romania and playing for the country, do you get to kind of soak it in and take it in at the time, or is it only till afterwards? Maybe you come out afterwards and you're like, wow, that was kind of special.
Yeah, I mean, it was always a bit surreal. It was a bit emotional the first year that I played England, because when we had a warm-up game in Bosnia, I actually lost my nan. So I sort of had to say goodbye to her and then go and play for England that weekend. When I came back, my parents told me the news that she'd passed away. And then 3 days later, I was on a flight to Portugal to play another warm-up game. So it was quite an emotional attachment to my first year with England because of that. So I guess it didn't really sink in, like you said, until afterwards that I got that privilege. And sort of, I guess one of the nicest feelings is when you get to stand with your team and sing the national anthem, however bad your voice is. So yeah, it's a humbling experience.
And do you get to see any of the cities you're in, or is it just basketball?
Kind of. Mostly no, because I remember when for under 20s in Israel, we weren't actually allowed to go outside for longer than 20 minutes because otherwise we'd get dehydrated. But for, I think I remember a trip to Slovenia for our second year at England. It was a warm-up game and we got to go into some caves. And I remember the team just getting lost on the way back. And yeah, I mean, and in Romania, my parents came out to see that. So we got sort of, I think it was I got to spend an afternoon with them just walking around the city. So yes, you get to see some of it, but it's mainly just the inside of a basketball court. And in my case, the inside of a Romanian hospital.
Talk to us about that.
I mean, I don't think, no, it wasn't. I got concussion one year, but different story. I think I got my thumb caught either in someone or the ball hit it or something, and my hand was just gone. So I needed to go and get an X-ray, and so our team manager took me to this hospital, and it was just, let's just say, thank God for the NHS.
Right. Okay.
And I just remember going in this lift with about 4 people, and it was the size of a really small cardboard box, just going up in this lift that I thought, I'm just never going to get out of it.
After those experiences, and again, stop me if I jump too far ahead, but it took you to Nottingham Trent University.
Yeah. So I actually didn't know that I was going to go to Trent. I thought I was going to go to Loughborough.
Okay.
So my top 2 choice, well, my choice ever since I was younger, it was always, I'm going to go to Loughborough University because it's the best sports university in the country, blah, blah, blah. So that was always what I thought I wanted to do. And then when I was researching the courses, I sort of had Loughborough up there, but it wasn't quite the course that I wanted. And I remember my sixth form tutor saying, choose the university for the course, not the sport. And my dad has always said to me, you're a student athlete, not an athlete student. So I had to go with those, lovely words of advice, and ended up picking Trent over Loughborough. But to be honest, it's the best decision I could have made. Because the history that I've now got with Trent is second to none. So yeah.
Was America ever on the cards for you? Because obviously with your, international pedigree.
Yeah, for me that's a touchy subject, because I always, in my GB team, I was the only player to stay in this country. And I just think in college, always it was go to America, go to America, go to America. They never sort of explored other options of UK universities. Now, yes, for those top players, it is probably better for them to go to NCAA. But for me, I just felt like I was always needing to go down the academic route, if that makes sense. So it was never, it was kind of, I probably could have done, but I just didn't think that that was the right path for me. And I feel like a lot of players in my age group and below get kind of pushed too hard to make sure that they go to the States, whether they know it's going to be a good school or a bad school. They just want that pedigree of, I went to the States and played. And I feel like some of the coaches, just because they want that on their sort of CV that they've got X, Y, and Z to the States, I just don't think it's right. And colleges, I feel like, and I hope that it's changed now, that they're sort of saying, okay, maybe British universities with good basketball programs is a better choice for certain players.
Of course, people can look up to your example of having gone to a school that now has, Trent, they just got promoted into the top tier of British Bucks basketball, haven't they?
Well, yeah, kind of. So the story of that is, when I first got to Trent, we were in Bucks Division 2 or something. We were really, really low. And there was literally just 2 of us on the team that kind of could properly play basketball. And I remember going in, and there was my teammates like doing roly-polies as a warm-up, and it was just but so I remember us getting promoted and winning the cup that year to Division 1, and then it took 2 years for us to then get promoted to the Premiership. And I'd always said I wanted to get the Bucks team promoted to the Premiership before I left, which is fortunately what we did. And we've always been a bit back and forth about, is it going to be Uni of, is it going to be Trent? Who knows? But I think Uniov got the better of us in my final year for the playoffs to go up or down. So I think we lost by, I think it was 1 or 2 points in our playoff game against Uniov. And I remember having a full court shot to try and like the last ditch attempt and just chucked it. And it was so agonizingly close.
Oh, no.
But yeah, that was my last game for our Bucks team. And we unfortunately got demoted back down to Div 1. So I think they're currently, because they did win the league last year, but because of COVID, I think they're staying in Div 1 for now.
Okay. I was at that final game. They beat Anglia Ruskin by maybe 3 points and got promoted by something like 1 or 2 points.
Yeah.
It was absurd.
I think I did the table for the game where they came to us. And that was a good game as well.
Yeah, I mean, they've always been very entertaining games, ARU, NTU, and we'll get to that. So, yeah, how was your time at Nottingham, Trent?
Oh, I mean, I think I am safe to say that I managed to get the best out of a university student life experience and still managed to play high-level basketball, which was tough to begin with because I was at Wildcats in the WBBL. Because what happened there was Dave Greenaway was my assistant coach at England. So I thought it would be quite a smooth transition to play for Wildcats and obviously go to Trent. So for the first couple of years at university, the WBBL and training with them was my high level, and then Trent was just the fun bit on the side. I then quit Wildcats twice. If you want me to go into that, I will.
I mean, you feel free. It's up to you.
Yeah, so the first year at Wildcats, I actually really enjoyed. My team was amazing. You had Ashley, who was league MVP, and Amber Stokes, who was also league MVP. And the team atmosphere was pretty good. I didn't mind playing the minutes that I was getting in my first year, simply because I just loved the team that I was in. But then getting on to the second year, and I made sort of the long list of 25 for the GB under 20s that year, but never got a call up to go to the camp. And then in my second year, I was sort of a bit, my goal was still to be able to play for GB, but I didn't think I was, one, going to improve if I was sat on the bench, and two, get a look in if I was sat on the bench. Yeah. So I had a bit of a tough time that year as well because I wasn't as keen on the team. I just wasn't playing. I thought I was improving, but it clearly wasn't enough to get the minutes that I thought that I deserved. So ended up leaving Wildcats and playing for University of Nottingham, which at the time was very controversial because I was the president of the women's basketball club at Trent. So it was really weird for me to put on the green and gold. With University of Nottingham, we ended up winning Div 2 and then getting promoted to Div 1. And because I was just allowed to enjoy basketball and play, I was so lucky to get called up for the camp. And I think that was probably because players like Kyla Nelson and Savannah Wilkinson weren't available that year. So an absolute long shot that I got picked to even get into the camp. But and then the best part of the GB story for me was that about 3 weeks prior to the camp, I was in Lloret de Mar in Spain on a sports tour with my university, which is let's just say wasn't much basketball being played.
I was going to say, is that the best preparation for some elite sport couple weeks later?
Exactly. So I then obviously got this email and thought, oh my God, I've only got 2 weeks to get in shape, having just been on this crazy 5-day holiday. me even turning up on that day one of camp I needed a pat on the back.
Have you heard the story of Zach Wells and his first GB call-up for the senior team?
No, I don't think I have.
So he'd just come back from his knee injury, and he was, played a bit and was like feeling pretty good. But the season ended, and he was like, "Well, that's my summer." He sat in his garden, just drinking a few cans, whatever. Gets a phone call. "All right, Zach, you've been called up for the GB squad. We need you to report to wherever the camp was in 3 days."
Oh,
he put the beer down. He went into the field opposite his house, and he just started doing suicides until he vomited. And then he just carried on running and just did that for the next 3 days.
Well, that's how I felt when I had to get on the exercise bike when I came back.
So how was it to put on the GB shirt and play for GB?
Well, I think it was extra special because I missed the age group, and I honestly thought that sort of goal was not going to happen simply because I wasn't in the WBBL setup anymore. So me leaving Wildcats to me was sort of accepting that I probably wasn't going to be able to do that. So for me to then actually achieve that was just, to me, absolutely insane. That after me making that huge decision not to play at that high level again, I still had the opportunity to do what I wanted to do in the first place.
I mean, how many D2 players get called up to GB? I can't imagine it's...
Yeah, not many. Not many, but Harriet was sort of similar. I think, I can't remember whether she was in D2 that year or D1, but yeah, I think we were both from lower league clubs, or because everyone else I think was from the States. They were playing in the States and whatnot. So yeah.
And again, how was that tournament? Did it end up better than the previous one?
Yeah, I think the group, I mean, Chema was absolutely amazing. He's probably the best coach I've ever played for. Simply because he was always so positive, and he kind of knew my background, knew that I sort of fell out of love with the game, and he was just making it about me falling in love with elite sport again. And because he made it very clear about what he expected from me and the team. And I think because I was able to, in those 8 days of camp, sort of switch on to his tactics and what he wanted, I think that was pretty much one of the reasons why I got picked. And he's all within the detail. And for me, sort of in those years, I always had to hang my hat on playing defense and shooting threes. And that was literally my role. So for me, it was always, I just had to make sure I brought energy on the defensive end and be a lockdown defender. And that was literally my job. And because I was able to do that in the camp, then that's probably why I got picked. But yeah, Chema was absolutely fantastic. And one of the best memories I have with him is we were going back from the arena in Manchester back to our hotel. And I was at the back of the minibus, and the next thing I hear was this massive, like this huge bang. And I thought, oh, if we crashed, or someone crashed in the back, and it made me jump. I turn around, Chema has gotten out of the car from behind us. We're at a traffic light, right? Just runs to the bus, bangs on the bus, and then goes, and then gets back to the car again. Crazy.
He seems like a real... I've never met or interviewed Chema, but he just seems like a real character, as well as being, like you say, all about the detail and all about the culture that he's trying to cultivate with the squad.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
When you're playing on a team like that, and your role's kind of different to your, I guess, other role on teams that you're playing, is that kind of an easier thing to do? If you like you're saying, you just you need to shoot threes and play defense, you can just concentrate solely on that, or is it a little bit difficult to start with to switch between the two?
I think it just depends on you as a person. Because I wasn't really a star player then, because when I was pretty much from under 18 through to GB under 20, I was always sort of a role player, and they were always the things that I was going to do, and I was sort of mid end of the bench kind of thing. So I was quite used to doing that already, and I was quite happy to, be the off court sort of, jeering and cheering and clapping
Being
and
the
whatnot.
chemist.
Yeah. So I think I always knew that was going to be my role, because my age group has plenty of absolutely great offensive players that can score at will whenever they want. So for me, it was just, I knew that that's what I had to do. So for me, it was quite easy. It gets tough at times. Yeah, we all want to be, getting played however many minutes, but it was more the fact that I just got to go along for the ride that was the best thing about it.
So who were some of the players on that roster?
So you had Georgia Gale, Gabby. I'm not even going to try it. Nicotiniti. Sorry, Gabby. You had Mel George, Chloe Gaynor. They were sort of my bench buddies, if you like. Who else? Abigail Johnson, Molly Taylor, who's now at Newcastle Eagles. Just trying to think. Shanice Norton, who's at London Lions. Imani Whittington.
So pretty loaded talent on that.
Yeah, there's some names in that squad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Word from our sponsors, Notch, the mark of achievement, and we are very glad to have them on board with Focus Hoops this year. They make fantastic bracelets that look super stylish and really help you celebrate your sporting achievement. They've just launched a basketball collection, and we're really excited to be on board with them. Let's imagine that you're a player. Let's say that you're Courtney Vandersloot. You got 18 assists in a single ball game, and you want a notch and a bracelet to commemorate that fact. Well, you can do just that. Customize it to your team colors, put the year that you achieved it, and get it the exact size that you need. There are a number of the colors available. Or maybe you're a coach. Maybe you're the coach of a basketball team. Let's just say that you're the London Tyrannosaurus Rex. Your team wears red. You had the league's most valuable player, the MVP, and you want to celebrate that. You want to award them with a great looking notch bracelet. Well, you can do just that. And you can get it saying MVP on the notch itself. That's the charm. You can get the colour you want. Gold is one that I'd go for if we're commemorating the best player in the league. We could even get the team logo, if it's the Tyrannosaurus Rex, let's say, on there. And present it in a beautiful presentation case. Huge thanks for Notch for coming on board Focus Hoops.
So how did you find it going from, okay, I'm playing Bucks Division 2, I'm playing National League Division 2, I'm playing GB? Like, that's a bit like, and how, here's the thing, because I've never played with an international athlete, anything. My friend once skinned a GB under 23 hockey player in a hockey match, and he's never shut up about it. 10 years later, keep being respect to you for that. How were they? Were they like looking at you like you're kind of a bit of an alien in the nicest possible way?
Well, I don't know, because I guess I'm a bit low key, as in people don't really know that I played internationally, and the majority of the sort of the starting five and that getting whatever social media attention, it's probably easier for people to spot those guys playing at a lower level than me. So I don't know. I don't know what it was like for other people playing against me. I don't know. I just sort of turned up and played. I didn't really think about that. And because of my background of sort of coming through each level and things, I could just switch it on and switch it off as to how serious I took the sport and took the game, and to which areas of my game I needed for which specific team.
So when was it that you made the fated return to Nottingham Trent in the National League system?
Interesting, you ask. So Uni of, they obviously got promoted after that season that I was with them. And after the GB experience, I obviously found the love for elite sport back again. So I wanted to then go back to Wildcats and have another go with WBBL. But I'd already said to the uni of coach, which was Andrea Congreves, actually, if things don't work out with Wildcats, can I come back? And she said, yeah, of course. So I was like, okay, I've got that as my backup.
Yeah.
And at the same time, Trent and Wildcats were in discussions to create a Division 2 team. So, because obviously Uni of had their National League team, so it was kind of, maybe we should get involved sort of thing. So after probably about a month at Wildcats, I realised it was just same stuff, different season. So I ended up quitting quite early on. Went to go and say, "Oh, Uni of, can you take me back?" And then Inesh Blinken got there first, because she was playing for Trent Wildcats at the time, but then decided she wanted to play Div 1. So I think it was about 2 weeks before I decided to leave Wildcats, she went to Uni of, and they said, "Oh, sorry, we've not got any spaces left because Inesh took the last space." And I'm not going to let her forget that. So yeah, I then had to play for Trent Wildcats, which was just a diabolical season in Div 2, and it was just we lost every single game. And one of my other teammates, Emily, played for Mansfield. She won't let me live it down that Mansfield beat us twice. So yeah, the reason why it was such a disaster is because getting players registered at the start of the season was non-existent between the two clubs. And so it was mainly me playing with Bray Ashton occasionally played for us. But she obviously was featured more in the WBBL team. So it was kind of, if they didn't have a game, then she'd play with us. But it was a lot of my uni Division 2 players. So, sorry, second team players. So obviously my uni team created another team because the sport was growing. So it was I was literally playing in Division 2 with players that had only been playing for like 6 months or whatever. And honestly, I still remember it. We played Ipswich that season and lost by over 100 points.
Ooh.
And I was just there like, I can't even. There was some of my friends on the bleachers watching this game, just like, and yeah, it was so embarrassing. The score was something like 130. Yeah, she did. Like,
oh no,
a lot of the players that you see now were playing against me in Division 2 back then. So yeah, they went, "Are you moving to Ipswich anytime soon?" I went,
no. So the first time I would have been able to commentate you playing would have been your Division 2 final, where you played the Derby Trailblazers, or I think that was before they became the Lady Blazers. Which I've got nothing but respect and admiration for that team, but your name I just cannot abide. I don't like the ladying of names. I don't know. What do you think about this? Because me and Kaz, I think Kaz, you're not with it, are you? You're not.
Yeah, we're on the same page. Yeah,
we're on the same page. Vicky, what do you think about the lady names? The Lady Trent, for example. It just wouldn't. No.
Why? Like, it's not. It's not. It's just. Move on. Next question.
All right. Cool. Thank you. That's everything I needed to say. So, how did we go from getting a cheeky 100-piece from Ipswich to, winning this final in really dominant fashion? What happened there?
So after that 0-12 season, Wildcats decided that they didn't want to have a National League team because they didn't want. Well, reading between the lines, they clearly didn't want that sort of attached to their club. So I remember that Ryan Wesley and I was in the gym one day, and I'm there going, I don't want to go back to Wildcats. What do I do? Trent will never give us a National League team. And And he said, well, just do something about it. And I went, oh, okay, fine. So my uni committee that year, I got us all together and composed an email to the university, literally begging them to give us a National League team. And I remember putting my neck on the line, basically saying, we'll win the league, we'll go undefeated, and we'll get promoted. And I said that, well, we said that in this email. And I thought, oh, I've said it now. So to my shock, they said, okay, we'll give it a go. On one condition, you get us some sponsorship. So I was fortunate enough that I think that was my placement year at university. So I was working, but because I was still on a sort of full-time course, I could still play for the university. So I begged my boss to give some sponsorship money to Trent, which they did, which meant we could have this basketball team. So we started in Division 2 and then got a few pretty good sign-ins like Sadie Russell out of absolutely nowhere. And then Jolana Ford, our American that season, who she's just unstoppable. So yeah, we obviously went 12-0 that season and managed to win the whole thing and get promoted and do exactly what I said in the email. So that was great.
There you go. Happy days. You had Ines Guerrero that season, didn't you?
Did
you?
Not that season, I don't think.
Not that season?
No, I mean, if my memory, we had a couple. We had Emily Arshamian and Deanna, who unfortunately can't play with us at the moment because she works with NHS, so she's just sort of on the sideline for now. But yeah, there was a few of us that have stuck around since then. Maybe Ines did play. She'll tell me. But no, I don't know.
I can't remember, and I can't find my commentary notes, so I'm pretty annoyed about that. Anyway, and then that took you to D1, unless there was any diversions that I've missed.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's pretty much what happened. Yeah. Div 1 the first year. That season was a bit odd for all of us. The fact, I don't know. It was a weird atmosphere for my team that year. Whilst we've obviously kept quite a lot of people from them, it just wasn't the best environment that we created for ourselves. And miraculously, I remember us playing the semi-final versus Reading, and we killed it that game. And for us to get to that final against ARU was obviously a massive achievement for our first year in Div 1. So it was kind of gave us, and I guess the university, a bit of confidence that we should be in that league. And whilst obviously we had Ariel Jackson last season sort of at the forefront of our offense, kind of that we could compete in Division 1. So
how was that playing that fight? Obviously, it wasn't the outcome that you guys wanted that day, but just how was that cup run and how was that final, and how did you think that would have set you up for the rest of the year?
Yeah, the cup run. I can't really remember who we were playing before Reading. All I remember is I know that we really had to dig deep for that semi-final. And I think the feeling that we all had that we actually managed to get to a final just elevated everyone. And for me, I was thinking that if we didn't make that final, that was going to be the first year since I started that I never made some kind of final in a season. So yeah, it was nice that I thought, oh yes, finally I get another final sort of thing. So yeah, I mean the game, I think we played ARU 2 weeks in a row.
You did, yeah.
And the week before we lost by 20, but I don't think that was really rough. No, we did.
Was it by 20?
Yeah, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I commentated that game. I can't remember it being that bad.
Well, because it didn't feel like it should have been that gap. I think quarters 1 to 3, it was probably like a 8 point game, something like that. But then we just lost steam in the fourth quarter. And it was a similar thing in the final. And yeah, we just wasn't as cohesive as we were or we are in this season. But it was good for everyone for us to get to that final, and it kind of just put our club on the map.
And then obviously, so yeah, this season you've got former WBBL champion, I'm pretty sure champion, Naomi Campbell, and you've got your new shiny new American, Maddie Burdett, who I know you're very happy has finally made Team of the Week.
Saw that? Yeah.
We didn't feel too called out, but just a little bit, just a smidge. It's okay.
No, I mean, she was going to have a breakout game at some point. But yeah, I think she's still got plenty left in the tank to give some even better performances as we go along the season. That's what I wasn't getting at your choices. I'm just saying that it was finally a weekend where she could get that into the 20s points wise. Yeah. And, go 4 from 6 behind the arc, which she does in training every day.
Yeah, I know Michael Hansen-Morris, who is part of the team here at FocusHoops, he was extremely excited about her pre-season because I think he'd seen some of her games in D3, and yeah, he was just amped to see her play because he's like, no, she's a flamethrower. Like, it's over. Yeah. They've replaced Ariel Jackson incredibly well. Yeah,
she's so casual with it as well. She'll just come off the screen. It looks as if she's like shrugging, like, oh, there's no one open, I might as well shoot. And then it's like, oh, splash. Okay, Maddie, relax.
How did you find coming into this season, obviously after having such a break with everything that's gone on this year?
Yeah, it was, well, I feel like I've said this since we got the green light, but it's as if we've had a bit of a golden ticket. And during the summer, it was a bit odd, obviously, getting shots up outside and having to account for the wind and things like that. And honestly, 3-point shooting was not a thing in the summer. So, yeah, the prep that we actually got coming into this season was the best Trent prep I've had since I've been here, because I think we had about 4 to 6 weeks solid of actual training. Right. So as in sort of 2-3 times a week on the court together, it was really nice, the fact that we have about, the bulk of the team are from last year. So we already knew sort of who can do what, but this year it's just sort of building on that, and our new additions just make us even stronger. So our prep has actually been pretty good this season, and that's thanks to, 1, the university for letting us do it, and 2, our coaches for putting in the work behind the scenes.
Yeah, of course, you've had Louise Waghorn as your coach for, I want to say 2 years. No, of course, no, it's more than that now.
I mean, for uni, I've had her for the past, this is my 6th season in a Trent shirt. So I've had her since 2015. Okay.
But did she coach the Trent Wildcats team?
No, that was Stephen Lindsay, who is part of University of Nottingham now.
Okay. So this is, so that would be Waghorn's 3rd season National League with you guys?
Yeah.
And of course, you've officially added Ryan Wesley. Though we all know that he's been hanging around behind the scenes and being a big part of, because he's a big part of Nottingham basketball, if I'm not
mistaken. Of course, yeah.
So 2 fantastic coaches there. Just how have you found that experience of having 2 really top quality coaches, and maybe more that we're not so aware of?
Well, I think definitely training wise, in previous years it's been quite relaxed and let's have fun, play basketball, whereas this year it's pretty much, we have the team to be challenging for top places, so we need to replicate that in training. So they're definitely sort of trying to get us to hold ourselves accountable in training a bit more. And just the level of training is just, last year it was here, this year it's like up here. And after the double header at the weekend, we sort of not necessarily got a shock, but we kind of realised after the loss against Solent we need to buck our ideas up. So yeah, they've definitely made that clear, and I think the message has been received pretty well throughout the team.
I mean, you never want to lose, obviously. So this might sound stupid, but it's better to get that out of the way now we've gone to a tough place and we weren't able to get it done. What can we change now rather than that happening down in March or whatever? Yeah,
definitely, because then we've got Worcester coming up this weekend, which will be an interesting game. So yeah, getting that shock now out the way so that we can build on that throughout the rest of the season is definitely, I guess looking back, we probably need it, because otherwise, some of the laziness that maybe we've been sort of showing over the last few weeks, when, we can do a lot more, and we know we can, and we don't. That our first game against Barking Abbey was probably our best team display yet, which is why we beat them by such a significant amount. And we've not really done that since. So it was more getting back to what we know what we can do. And the fact is, really, it's nothing tactical. It's just we can switch it on and off, and we just need to make sure it gets switched on more than off.
Yeah,
consistently.
So I think, I could be wrong, but I think you're pretty much first team to actually play a doubleheader this year in the league.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think we are.
I think you might be. I can't think of anybody else. How was that? How was that experience of, because you've had this massive break, then it's been fairly gentle. Did you had a game called off, I think. Well, I mean, everybody's had games called off.
Yeah, the first 2 weeks, I think people were starting to play, and we were itching to get on court, especially because we didn't know when the rules were going to change, if we could carry on, etc. But yeah, I remember when we got the sort of call, oh, shall we have a double header? It was a bit, can our bodies cope with it? There's a few players on our team that have a few niggles here and there, and is it really a good idea? But yeah, we needed to get one out the way, because I don't think there's enough weekends to actually continue just playing one game a week. So it had to be done sooner or later. But it was tough.
Was the road trip to Southampton the best one?
Oh, well, last year when we went to Southampton, we got stuck on the motorway for about 3 hours, and we had to have a team toilet session in the bush, telling the lorry driver behind us to turn off his lights. I was the designated toilet roll holder. So it wasn't as bad as that.
Okay, that's positive.
But we ended up going in 2 separate minibuses, social distancing, etc. But I know that the other minibus did struggle with a few toilet issues, because being in a national lockdown, Costa, McDonald's, that sort of thing, all of their toilets were closed. So it took them 3 goes to find an open toilet. And I'm sure she won't mind me saying, but Maddie was very relieved.
Yeah, no, good for bad, just unfortunate. So how are you finding the league this year? How's the competition in the league compared to last year, compared to what it's been previous? How have you found it this year?
I think it's really competitive. There are a lot of teams in this league that could come up with a win against, the top teams. And last year it was quite unpredictable anyway. But this year, definitely the stronger teams seem to have got stronger. And the mid section of teams have added some really good additions, and obviously ARU and Bristol and that haven't really played as much as everyone else yet, but when they get back on the court, I'm sure they'll be a bit problematic.
Yeah, Ruskin have played 1 game.
Yeah.
They won, but it's 1 game. Good news for everybody, for the league and for the fans of the league. Coco Lung is back playing for Ipswich. So just when you thought they needed a bit more firepower, they get one of the better point guards of the last couple of years.
Yeah, great. Good for them.
What do you guys make of like the Ipswich situation of just they've come like you said, they've come through together for so many years and now they are just an absolute force of nature. How good is that to see, but also, challenge?
Yeah, I mean, it's great knowing that obviously Harriet's there leading from the front as she has been doing for the last however many years. But I don't know, I just find it a bit irritating that they keep winning and it's personally boring me. And I'm hoping that we can be the team to beat them next time. But,
Okay.
yes, okay, they do have this sort of stigma that, oh, it's Ipswich, oh, we've got to buck our ideas up. And I actually think that one of the reasons why we lost against them the other week is because we were focusing too much on having to stop Esther and Harriet than actually we just needed to play like we are playing. So, yeah, I mean, we're not going to make that mistake again. But yeah, I don't know how other teams are dealing with it.
Yeah. Yeah, some teams have dealt with it better than others. I mean, Pride took them to overtime, which I was really excited to see your game with Pride, and I mean, you guys handled that one pretty well. Is it Burberry? Just superstar performance from Burberry that day.
Yeah, she was great. Yeah.
How have you found playing with Burberry?
Well, I played with Isabel when at uni for a year, and then she was actually also at Wildcats for a little bit, and then Isabel she was always a good player, but she never really rose up to her potential. Whereas this season, she's just, I mean, in training, you just don't want to even go near her because you know you're going to get a bruise. So it's just kind of, and having someone like Isabel inside getting you those rebounds. And also she's one of the best people that I know to swing the basketball from, if it goes inside, she knows she can't go up, she will get it back out again. And her passes are ridiculously quick. So yeah, she's a great presence for us this season and a really good. I mean, she's loving basketball now as well, which is really nice to see.
You played alongside one of my all-time favorite players. I have no problem saying that. You played with Ash Harris, Ash Arlen. How was that playing with like one of the very best players to play in Broome?
Well, I mean, she was a great character on and off court. And she was a proper professional about it. So she'd always be putting in the work. She'd always be at individuals, and there was just no letting up with Ash. She would always be there scoring, rebounding relentlessly every single week. And yeah, she was just a great role model to have. And it was great to see her play. And the fact that she was a big yet would still want to shoot a three and splash it.
Yeah. She put a post over there on social media of her shooting a three back in America a couple of weeks ago. And she's like, the disrespect from these men guarding this three. It's like, it's definitely going in. It's Ash Harris.
Yeah. They need to get out to that.
100%. And also, the legend, Northern Soul, Hannah Shaw. And again, another former teammate of yours.
Yeah. Hannah probably is one of my British heroes, but only because she's been such a great sort of off-court person with me as well. She's a great person to have a beer with. She's probably the loudest clapper in the whole country. And yeah, she's just an all-round great lass who is one of the only people that's allowed to call me Victoria.
Oh. Has she got you on the kombucha hype?
The what?
Kombucha.
What's that?
Are you not familiar with it? It's this I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, Kaz, it's like this Japanese yeast drink that it just grows in a jar. Hannah Short and Ishmael Fontaine, they swear by kombucha. It's not for me, Clive. I'll give it a good go. By your puzzled face,
It's a
doesn't
no.
sound super
It's a no
appealing.
from me.
yeah, probably. It looks sus. That's all I'm saying. So I normally finish off with just a couple of like slightly not random questions. Oh, actually, I'm going to go. I've not asked this for a bit. What's your condiment of the year?
Well, I always go for ketchup.
It's
Always,
popular,
and
aren't
it has to be Heinz,
Yeah.
because I'm allergic to cheap ketchup.
Pretty much the exact same answer as given by Katrin Hulme. So there you go.
Oh.
Her quote that I've actually clipped and play occasionally: "Life is too short not to have ketchup."
I like that.
True. Where is your favourite place to play basketball?
Ooh, the arena in Sheffield, because that's where I played the national final with my Warriors team, where I got the MVP.
Nice. Now, obviously, you're moving to the Cayman Islands and day job, but where would you like to see basketball take you, or where would you like to take basketball?
That's a good question, because I'm not really sure. I think I'm not gonna just stop playing when I go, but at the same time, I don't know how long I'm going to be there for, whether, basketball is at a good level there. I've got no idea. I actually, before the Cayman Islands even came about, I was looking at maybe moving to Manchester. But who knows? I really have got no idea.
I mean, Davies, would it have been a Mystics situation?
Well, even then, because playing WBBL and having a full-time job is really, really difficult. So I think the group that Manchester have got this year, I probably would have enjoyed that team. But yeah, I don't know. I was thinking, I mean, they've got a Div 2 team, I think, and I thought, I don't know if I could play Div 2 again. I don't know. I like Div 1. I like the standard, and I like the fact that it's kind of what I call serious fun.
Yeah, I see that. Kaz, have you any final questions?
Yeah. What's the best piece of like on-court basketball advice you've ever had from anyone?
Grab the ball and put it in the basket.
I like it. Okay.
Is that from Ryan? That sounds like a real Ryan Wesley.
Absolutely not. No, he'll be like, oh, stagger screen, oh, back screen, run this, run that. No. That was from my first coach back at under 14. And that's just, I guess, where the hustle has come from. And that's what I live by, to grab the ball and put it in the basket.
Do you have any basketball heroes or a favourite basketball player?
See, I never really, growing up, I never really watched basketball. I just played it. So I never really had like a basketball role model. And I don't really take much notice of the NBA or the WNBA or anything like that. So I guess my hero is Hannah Shaw. just because she's managed to play in the Commonwealth Games after, the fact that we all know she loves a good party occasionally. Back in the day, not now, but
not now. I need to speak to her again about Commonwealth Games. Let's come back. Imagine, have you ever been in a game where somebody has fouled out, been ejected whilst taking free throws?
No. All I know is Naomi got ejected the other week.
She did. She did, for an unsportsmanlike.
And Bray. the week before.
Oh, that one I missed. What did?
Oh yeah,
what
she
did
got
Brig
ejected
get?
for two. I think one technical, one unsportsmanlike. So it was a running theme in the first 2 weeks. It was like, who's going to get ejected next week?
As a team captain, is that something you have a word with, like being like, lads, can we not?
Well, obviously emotions always run high on court, but I kind of, if it's getting too much, yes, I'll go over and say just leave it. But at the same time, I'm also a culprit of it, and I don't usually let refs get in my head, but I know that sometimes my passion does overtake any sort of sense of spatial awareness.
And a final one, because we have taken quite a bit of time. Just what's your favourite memory or moment that basketball has given you?
Ooh, let's say. I guess just putting on the GB shirt for the first time is probably up there.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on and telling your story of your time in basketball, and obviously huge luck. That's a phrase. Best of luck to you in the Cayman Islands, and of course for the last couple of games that you're going to play. And if you're here at the end of January and you're playing in the Stephen Pearce Foundation, aka the Bunker, I will be delighted, obviously, to get to commentate you one last time. But Vicky, thank you so much. Where can people find you on social media?
On Instagram, I don't even know what my actual name is, but I'm sure you can put it down here somewhere.
We'll put it in the description of this video if you want to go and follow Vicky Gray and her very exciting Cayman Islands adventure. So Vicky, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
And for everybody watching out there, sorry, Kaz, hang on. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Everyone watching out there, thank you so much for, of course, watching as always. Make sure that you check out the Kaz and Daz show on Thursdays, 8 p.m. on YouTube and Facebook Live, where we break down the world of women's basketball. Kaz, thank you as always, mate, for being a part of this.
Thank you. And you can watch the Nottingham Trent games on the Facebook page because they're streamed live.
That's right, Trent TV. They do an amazing job.
Yeah.
Trent TV are absolutely smashing it this year. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you very soon.